Our session type, Bridging Science and Policy, AP-PLAT Practices on Locally Led Adaptation for Climate Resilient Asia Pacific, hosted by the Institute for Global Environmental Strategy, or IGES, as a part of the Asia Pacific Climate Change Adaptation Information Platform Initiative. My name is Nagisa Shiba. I'm a policy researcher at the IGES and your moderator today. Today's event aims to explore the critical intersection between science and policy in advancing locally led adaptation effort across the Asian Pacific region. Locally led adaptation strategies play a pivotal role in building resilience and fostering sustainable development in the face of climate change. Through this event, we seek to highlight the innovative practices undertaken by the AP-PLAT Partners Organization in promoting locally led adaptation efforts. Our agenda for today is to provide comprehensive insight into AP-PLAT practices on locally led adaptation, featuring distinguished speakers who will share the experience and the expertise on the locally led adaptation. Okay, without further ado, let me invite Mr. Mizuno Osamu, the Program Director of Adaptation and Water Area of the IGES, for his opening remarks. So Mizuno-san, please have a floor.
Okay, good morning and a warm welcome to our seminar, Bridging Science and Policy, AP-PLAT Practices on Locally Led Adaptation for Climate Resilient Asia Pacific. As introduced, I'm Osamu Mizuno, the Program Director of the Institute for Global Environmental Strategies, or IGES. I extend my sincere gratitude to all the participants joining us today. Established in 2019 by the Ministry of the Environment Japan, the Asia-Pacific Climate Change Adaptation Information Platform, or AP-PLAT, is dedicated to supporting informed decision-making and effective climate change adaptation measures across the Asia-Pacific region. IGES has been at the forefront of AP-PLAT, fostering partnership and building capacities to bolster adaptation actions at both national and local levels. Our recent collaboration led to the development of the AP-PLAT framework for action aimed at advancing regional collaboration. In today's session, we'll focus on the AP-PLAT's practices in locally led adaptation, a key focus area outlined in the AP-PLAT framework for action. We will spotlight strategies for enhancing individual and institutional capacity to promote LLA in the Asia Pacific. Our distinguished speakers will showcase projects undertaken under the AP-PLAT, paving the way for insightful discussions and the formulation of recommendations for future capacity development activities within the AP-PLAT. I invite participants to know the AP-PLAT recent activities and gain insights from experts involved in locally led adaptation activities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mizuno-san, for your great opening remarks. So let me first introduce our distinguished speaker first. So our speaker, we have three excellent speakers. The first speaker is Dr. Vinaya Rajashivakoti. He is a senior researcher at the Adaptation and Water Area of IGES. And our second speaker will be Dr. Ramesh Sosa. Apologies my poor pronunciation. He is Program Director and Secretariat, Asian Pacific, Head of Climate Change Cluster, Regional Resource Center for Asian Pacific, Asian Institute of Technologies, or AIT. Thank you very much for your presentation today. I'm so excited to hear from your experience and expertise. So before we get into the presentation, I will briefly introduce the AP-PLAT initiative, and it's the capacity development initiative. So let me go to the next slides. So AP-PLAT is a partnership on climate change adaptation launched in 2019 to promote science-based decision-making and effective adaptation actions in the Pacific, in the Asian Pacific region. So AP-PLAT aims to promote 3 pillars, which is tools, scientific information, and capacity development. So these 3 pillars are undertaken by the partnerships in the region, so including the Ministry of Environment of Japan and National Institute for Environmental Study and IGES and other partner institutions, including AIT and APN. So we will also prioritize adaptation needs accurately and focus on activities that are complementary and value add to existing efforts. So we have immediate priority issues and actions, which are stated in the AP-PLAT Framework for Action 2023 and 2025, which was developed last year, and it's publicly available. So if you have time and interest, please feel free to access to our website and figure out our framework for action. And the locally led adaptation is a part of our priority issues. So today we will focus on these issues as a critical area of works of the AP-PLAT initiative. And I just had to be leading the capacity development part of the AP-PLAT activities. So let me quickly introduce our capacity development activities under the AP-PLAT. So as I mentioned, AP-PLAT is operated by the Ministry of Environment of Japan and IGES, National Institute for Environmental Studies of Japan. And also we have a lot of partner organizations, and especially for capacity development components, we have a excellent organization laid out here. So AIT and APN are working together with IGES and have developed a lot of great capacity development tools, including e-learning courses, webinars, and tools. And last year, we also developed the strategy for AP-PLAT Capacity Development Program, which is for 2023 and 2025. So we will work further on locally led adaptation because it's also a part of our priority area for capacity development. So today, I'm still looking forward to hear from speakers on their activities on locally led adaptation undertaken under the AP-PLAT initiative. So let me stop my sharing screen. So first speaker is Dr. Vinaya Shibakoti from IGES. And I also mentioned that the Dr. Linda Anna Stevenson is also here with us. She is also working with Dr. Vinaya on the locally led adaptation initiative. Oh, thank you for Linda-san for sharing your screen. So she is a program director, Secretariat, Asia Pacific Network for Global Change Research, or APN. So I'm so glad to have you too. So I will pass on to Vinaya-san for his first presentation. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. So you can take your floor.
Thank you, Nagisa-san. Thank you for your excellent introduction, and you're doing great. Thank you so much, and it's my great pleasure to share you some of our progress on this joint initiative led by APN and IGS on locally led adaptation as a part of contribution to AP-PLAT. And I will be basically discussing about the thought process behind why we started this and where we are heading towards in this initiative. And I will be joined here by Linda. Sorry, I think we actually planned to speak together, but for some reason, Linda cannot speak now. So on her behalf, allow me to start this presentation. Thank you so much. Okay, let me start by this initiative. We started this initiative on locally led adaptation in the Asia Pacific region, realizing a need that there is an overarching need to catalyze local adaptation innovation, especially by addressing the capacity gaps at the local level. And that's also aligns very much with the capacity building pillar of AP-PLAT, which IGS is mainly leading this. And in this project, we have 4 specific activities. And one of the idea is Asia Pacific is very diverse, and there are a lot of solutions. So the point is, if we can bring all those, identify and bring all those local innovation together, maybe we can rapidly upscale this locally led adaptation, which has also 8 guiding principles. So in this case, we have 2 objectives. One, first, in this case, we want to support how we can understand the climate risk and vulnerabilities at the local level, that it understood by at the local level. And second, we support locally led adaptation built on the uses of indigenous traditional and local knowledge system. We say ITLK system. And based on that, we will want to develop some adaptation innovation, local adaptation innovation hub, which is like kind of a startup for replicating LLA. And the key point is how we can strengthen local adaptation planning so that this can be further recognized and better communicated to localize for instance, the priorities under NAP or NDCs. In this case, our idea was to have a regional cross learning among different parts of Asia Pacific region. So we have 3 regions selected, 3 countries selected for this work: Nepal, Vietnam, and Fiji. And we want to, through the exercise, through this exercise, we want to create a blueprint for promoting locally led adaptation. So key point is it should be led by local partners based on what is already there. We are not doing any kind of serious investigation. Rather, we want to capitalize what our partners are already doing there: youth engagement, focus on ITLK, and build enduring capacity at the local level. That's the core part of LLA. And in this initiative, we have partners: ICIMOD, Himalayan University Consortium, and Practical Action in Nepal, Agriculture ADC, ADC Agriculture University in Vietnam, and University of the Sunshine Coast in Australia, but basically working in Fiji. And what we anticipate is through this model study side, we develop some guideline and tool on local adaptation planning and implementation so that it will work as a comprehensive package in areas such as agriculture, disaster health, and water resources. And also we want to bring in decision support tools and learning materials, such as including ClimateCast tool developed by AP-PLAT, and also focus on monitoring and assessment. And basically, we want to bring success stories, field-based learning, and demonstration. And through all this asset we will create in this project, we want to bring in our partners, different partners having sharing common interest and locally led adaptation, on how we can upscale and generate impact. For instance, in creating investment model, how to better we do adaptation communication, and how we can facilitate channeling international adaptation fund. So basically how we can accelerate this process. That's the key point of idea behind this. And actually, this initiative is very much closely related with Gobeshona conference. We are basically a regular attendee of, and basically through each Gobeshona conference, we build on some knowledge and we implement it. So in first Gobeshona conference, we basically discuss a need for LLA and its 8 principle. In the second Gobeshona, we discuss about challenges from promoting LLA. And in the third, we also discuss on the key opportunities, which I will share in upcoming slide. And by the way, tomorrow also we are having one session on Asia Pacific resilience, empowering local solution together. And it includes not just this project, but also other initiative. So if you have time, please join us. It will start on 11 a.m. tomorrow. And let me just give you a brief snapshot of our sites. I think tomorrow you can get more insight from tomorrow's session. So in first site, we have this we selected Rolpa and Dang district in Western Nepal. in 2 locations. This is predominantly subsistence-based farming system with very vulnerable population. And the key problem here are changing rainfall pattern, drought and floods, heat wave, forest fire, negative impact on farming and livestock. These are the common climate change impact and adaptation and challenges. And basically, there are increasing the main challenges over reliance on costly modern farming, but loss of local cultivar and tradition, as well as a high rate of youth migration. That is, they are leaving the area in search of better opportunities. So what we see is adaptation is actually happening in a small scale in this area, but we can think of how we can bring it regenerative farming that reduces reliance on chemical fertilizer and pesticide and enhance soil fertility, water management technology. And in addition to that, additional opportunity we try to see is strengthening climate information services, climate field school, uh, uh, flood adaptive vegetable nurseries, and preservation of local cultivar. That is, if we can integrate this like as a part of climate smart farming. And we also have identified different ILTK system. It's like a local seed, how they use drying the vegetable for and use as a manure for both cooking and as a fertilizer, the traditional way of storing grains, and different handicrafts and products that can be that local people use from such as from forest, other as a part of their lifestyle. So if we can integrate this as a part of locally led adaptation, we see a huge potential of acceptance. And in case of Vietnam, we have a Son La province in northwest Vietnam. It's a mountainous region with a mostly indigenous Thai community there. And the key problem there is also rainfall pattern, drought, heat. And if you can see down this some grains you can see in the blue. So the reason I want to say that it's due to untimely rainfall just before the harvesting of the rice. The rice start to sprout on because of the wetness, it sprouted. So it created the loss of rice. So these are the challenges usually directly faced by this community. And there are challenges like structural inequalities by the vulnerable group, and understanding of climate impact risk is very low. They have a limited institutional and technical capacity. So these are the basically big challenges. And there are also emerging opportunities like how we could engage private sector, ecotourism, climate-friendly enterprises, promoting NBS practices, heritage farming. So these are also some of the opportunities. So as a part of thing, what we are doing is we want to develop LLA framework based on agri-heritage principle. That means bringing agriculture heritage as a part of this climate resilience building, promoting ecotourism, like bringing some the city residents from Hanoi. So bringing them, they come there, they stay as a homestay, they buy the local produce when they go back, and introduction of traditional cultivar, like growing food forest. That means growing forest which has a high food value. That means everything that we grow can be consumed. And these are some of the practices we want to integrate as a part of LLA. And this is another in the model case site in Fiji, Tikana Malamalo. This is the southwest of Nadi. It's a small community of 2,900 people. And basically this heavy rain, strong wind, tropical cyclone, sea level rise, and the poor infrastructure which are easily washed by this sea tide, food and water security. These are some of the climate risks immediate. And in addition to that, lack of employment opportunity and the sea level rise, especially changing the geography and livelihood. But there are also opportunities similar to before: ecotourism, how we optimize community resilience, climate proofing livelihood. So these are some of the action. And what we see is it's just a climate change is the one part. We also need to link with income generation because that is closely related with resilience building, how we optimize, how we create climate proofing of livelihood. So there are like village tour that are not bringing tourists. It's a traditional way of salt. It's setting like a native tree, how community can immobilize to grow the native tree, and also the selling the handicraft. These all are very much closely linked with this resilience, climate adaptation, and resilience building. Although they doesn't look in outside not so related, but if we minutely check, these are very much intricately related. So these are some of the things. And what we wanted to do at this stage is first, we want to tap the local innovation and opportunity that is happening around. And second, there are various uses of IDLK. We recognize them and how we try to integrate this with this as a part of local innovation and as a part of also climate understanding. We haven't done this yet, but what we are thinking is we want to use this tool from AP-PLAT Climocast, which provide a very a locally scaled climate impact. So this is Son La province in Vietnam. That is our moral case site. So it predicts like how the maximum temperature will under the scenario, one of the extreme scenario I have shown here. And we infuse with local observation, use it as a better understand the climate risk. So this is something we are trying to build, and hopefully we have around 1 year or so remaining. So within that period, we are trying to bring up some of the knowledge products and lessons for upskilling. So thank you for your kind attention, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you so much. Over to you, Nagisa-san.
Thank you very much, Vinaya-san, for your incredible presentation. And also, Linda-san also commented on the chat box, and she is welcome to your questions and comments. So please feel free to contact her if you have any questions. So thank you so much. It was really interesting to know that you are comprehensively working on locally led adaptation on the ground. So I'm so looking forward to the future activities on this project. And okay, thank you very much. Sorry. Okay, so now let me invite the second speaker, Dr. Ramesh Sesa. So can you turn on your video and share your screen, and you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, great. Perfect.
Okay.
Can you see my screen as well?
Yes, yes. Can you
Wonderful.
use the presentation mode? Yes.
Yes. Is that good?
It's still it's not the slideshow mode. So I think you can go to the slideshow tab and start a presentation.
Is it?
It's still it's not yet changed.
Not yet changed. Right.
Yes.
So there is an issue with the slideshow.
Yeah, please click there.
I have clicked it there, but
okay.
then there is an issue. I've gone now to slideshow, but
it's coming.
Can you see? Yes.
It's still not the slideshow mode, but for the sake of time, you can start your presentation.
Okay.
Because we can see your slide, so it's okay.
Right. Hang on. Should I present in this mode? I believe that's the best.
Yes.
Okay. So Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone here. Thank you, Nagisa-san, for that kind introduction. It's a pleasure for me to address the 4th annual Gobeshona Global Conference session here on bridging science and policy and AP-PLAT's practices on locally led adaptation for climate resilient Asia Pacific webinar. So I would be talking about the contributions that AIT-RRC AP has done at regional and local level for climate resilience. And my name is Ramesh Soisa, and it's once again happy to address you. So before I start, I'd like to start my presentation with a sentiment about us and how we as a species became nature's example of localized adaptation to changing climate. Evolution is a biological adaptation to the changing climate. We have a biological history of over 4 billion years. Today, our species, Homo sapiens, are the most successful species in the planet, colonizing nearly all continents apart from Antarctica.
Sorry, Ramesh, to interrupt. I think your slide doesn't change.
Yes, I haven't changed it.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can you just try to change your slide quickly and so that we can ensure? Okay, good. I'm so sorry to interrupt, so you can go back.
Okay. So locally led biological adaptations to climate change in our species resulted in many variations, varying skin color and texture, varying hair color and texture, varying eye colors and structure, varying nose structures, body structures, face structures are some of the examples that we can learn from. So with that thought in mind, I would go to my presentation, and I'd start off with introducing AIT-RRC AP. So AIT-RRC AP started off in 1989 as a UNEP grid Bangkok. And we changed our name to UNEP EAP, Asia Pacific, in 1994, which was changed again as UNEP Regional Resource Center for Asia and the Pacific in 1999. And in 2015, we came back to the university, and we are now AIT-RRC AP. So we provide services in capacity building, knowledge sharing, and technical services. The climate change thematic areas focuses mainly on accessing climate finance, adaptation planning and disaster risk reduction, and mitigation empowerment. So we've also worked on the main SDGs that we cross-cut across all SDGs, but the main SDGs are SDG 13, which is on climate action, SDG 11, which is on sustainable cities and communities, SDG 4 on quality education, and SDG 17 on partnerships for the goals, and SDG 7 on affordability and clean energy. So introducing the climate change cluster, over the last few years, since 2016, we have evolved into quite a force with a lot of activities happening within our cluster within AIT-RRC AP. So we are listed as the Adaptation Fund network of providers of readiness support since 2017 onwards. We are also listed as GCA framework of communities. We have our own Youth Energy Academy here. We also support Ministry of Environment, Japan-funded adaptation tools such as SADS and FLOODS, which I will talk in soon about. We are also supporting a climate change adaptation platform meeting, which we participated in along with AP-PLAT. And the networks and initiatives that we have focused on is on Adaptation Research Alliance, Making Cities Resilience 2030 campaign, Asia Pacific Adaptation Information Platforms, which is what we are focusing on right now, and adaptation. We provide readiness support for adaptation and Adaptation Fund Secretariat and CTCM, and so on and so forth. So introduction to the adaptation tools that of SADS and FLOODS that can contribute to locally led adaptation is my next topic. And SADS is developed by Tsukuba University with the support of Ministry of Environment Japan, which is a user-friendly platform on pseudo-global warming method dynamic downscaling. So the prediction parameters that this tool can give you is about temperatures, precipitation, wind speed, humidity, solar radiation of a particular province, locality, what will happen to it in the future. So it's a very interesting science-based solution that you could provide basically with a PC and internet, and there's no prerequisite on technical climate knowledge needed to use this at all. So this is an example of Buriram province in Thailand by 2050 with respect to rainfall. So the overall, after the simulation and the downscaling done, the overall precipitation will decrease by about 4 millimeters per day for base year. So the daily maximum precipitation in Buriram province in mid-21st century by 2050 of RCP 4.5 is projected to be lower than current years as many areas, and the decreased rainfall will affect rain-fed agriculture, which is 89% of the livelihood. So these sort of science-based solutions can be brought in with SADS. My next adaptation tool is based on FLOODS. Now, FLOODS is a tool for flood hazard mapping and the decision-making and occurrence of flood for adaptation and prevention. It was developed by Hitachi Corp with the support of Ministry of Environment Japan, and we here at AITRC-AP are the service providers and intends to develop flood simulation system with excellent usability and visibility. So we have also a FLOODS e-learning that I will talk about very soon, that we will introduce soon on AP-PLAT. So used for adaptation planning and disaster risk reduction, river management and urban planning, this tool gives you in-depth, again, science-based solution for disaster risk reduction and resilience, climate resilience programs and projects. So the simulator, which is the advanced simulator, is also called GeoVista, which was also developed by Hitachi. And pretty much GeoVista is used in flood hazard mapping by local governments in Japan already, and flood risk assessment by insurance companies, business continuity planning by private enterprises. So these are all the FLOODS usage, which is all available as an open source software. Next, I would like to get on to raising a little bit of awareness on ClimateCast. I think Nagisa-san and Binay-san both pretty much touched upon ClimateCast and the adaptation platform, AP-PLAT, that is hosting this session. And pretty much introducing the third tool, which is run by NICE this time, not by AITRC-AP, is ClimateCast. Now, ClimateCast, it enables you to see the future climate projections on the map, and it gives you a localized prediction of the temperatures and, dry and wet spots, identifying hotspots, and the precipitation related to the future prediction models. So ClimateCast also is a very simple tool that Binay-san also correctly pointed out. There's a tutorial involved with the ClimateCast if you want to learn more and use it for your localized, science-based solutions. And it produces in 2 steps how many degrees will the temperature increase in a country or a province or a town, and where can I get this data. So it's all inbuilt into this ClimateCast model. And ClimateCast is also available in AP-PLAT. So here's an example of ClimateCast that we did, a real-time example where there's a GCF concept note that is developed for a mentoring session under our activities with Ministry of Environment Japan. We have actually brought in, we have developed this concept note on the GCF concept note on for Indonesia, Gorontalo. And Gorontalo province is in North Sulawesi, which is an island in Indonesia. And in that locality, the climate projections are prepared like this as to present to the Green Climate Fund within their concept note as a science-based solution. So this slide actually demonstrates that, if it increases the average temperature in Gorontalo by 2 degrees by 2050 and 3 degrees by 2090, according to these graphs and platforms. And the vulnerability and impacts are clearly listed based on these temperatures. And as an agricultural and a farming community, these sort of locally led, adaptation tools and adaptation, science-based adaptation results would contribute significantly to navigate these sort of locally led adaptation solutions for the future. So having said that, AP-PLAT is also another, of course, a wonderful platform, which is, just to give you a brief introduction to AP-PLAT, for those who doesn't know, it's pretty much launched by the Ministry of Environment Japan during the G20 ministerial meeting on energy transition and global environment for sustainable growth held under Japan's presidency of G20. Sorry. And it's a web-based information platform for national, local policymakers, researchers, and businesses and individuals. So as Nagisa-san correctly pointed out, the core areas are scientific information and knowledge creation, tool development, and capacity development are the main areas of focus within AP-PLAT. And as Nagisa-san also pointed out, there are e-learnings, adaptation databases, visualization of temperatures that happens within AP-PLAT, all information in one-stop solution, and we are working very hard to make it even better. So I would like to introduce 2 new e-learning courses that are launched in AP-PLAT, which is I think, which is launched in AP-PLAT as of 1st March this year, and it will contribute to locally led adaptations. So the first of the e-learning course that I happily introduce is the integrating gender and indigenous factors into locally led adaptation. Now, this LLA course aims to raise awareness about the importance of locally led adaptation, integrating gender and equality, and addressing indigenous concerns, this has 4 modules, and this course targets various stakeholders involved in local level climate change adaptation. The modules provide rational linkages and methodologies for local-led adaptation, integration of gender and indigenous factors with real case studies for practical applications. So the 4 modules are listed here. The first one talks about the introduction of locally-led adaptation, gender indigenous factors, and the SDGs. The second module talks about the locally-led adaptation to climate change. The third module talks about the case studies on locally led adaptation to climate change. And the 4th module talks about GESI, which is gender equality and social inclusion and indigenous factors. The second of our e-learning courses is on FLOODES, as I told you before, which I introduced you earlier too. So using FLOODES, for flood forecasting tool for adaptation planning at city level, is a wonderful tool that the tool forecasts floods and their expected impacts, aiding in the development of appropriate adaptation strategies within the broader climate adaptation plan. The knowledge acquired through deploying this tool will strengthen countries' capacity for integrated climate resilient flood risk management, which is a big issue right now, especially in Southeast Asia and South Asia, and especially in vulnerable communities. And this promotes resilience and vulnerable communities, and it promotes a science-based solution to actually work towards disaster risk reduction and loss and damage. So a huge amount of effort has been put in with respect to saving money and lives with respect to flood forecasting, which is I think even within the COP28, it was highly prioritized. So the module has the course has 4 modules, and the first one is the flood impact and the cost in changing climate. And the second one discusses about understanding the operation of flood tool. And the third module discusses using flood S tool in climate adaptation planning. And the fourth module talks about the flood risk and vulnerability assessments in the municipality of Payo Ilocos Norte, which is in Philippines, and the use of flood S web tool to provide solutions to this locality. So you can find it in this URL that I have shared here. So I'm happy to introduce these 2 hot e-learning courses in AP-PLAT as of right now. So with that, I would also like to introduce you to the new e-learning hub within AIT RRC AP. We also provide a backend for a few of these e-learning courses featuring in AP-PLAT, especially for dissemination purposes, so that people get to actually see these sort of e-learnings, through different forms or not other. So this features in the new e-learning hub that we have designed within AIT RRC AP and for greater dissemination purposes. So we do have a few e-learnings here that we have housed, if you would like to go and have a look. Developing concept notes for GCF simplified approval processes, climate adaptation, resilience building through sustainable waste and resource management, increasing coherence on climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction, and the use of SADS. These are the 4 e-learning courses that are housed in the hub. Just for your information, you can also find it in AP-PLAT as well. So having introduced all this information, it leads me to my last slide, which is thank you for listening. And it's a pleasure to actually be in this conference session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ramesh-san, for your excellent presentation. I got the impression that you have been exactly bridging the science and the policy through the capacity development efforts. So I really congratulate on your successful launch of the new e-learning courses. So I encourage all the participants to access the e-learning courses, to get the useful information. Thank you very much for your presence. So now we will move on to the discussion part, and I encourage all the audience to submit your questions or comments that you may have through the Q&A functions. Though we already got the 2 questions, so I will read it. So I hope our presentators will answer to these questions. The first questions. It's important to empower communities through LLA, but I think there are some aspects that will not change unless the government policies change. I think that's where the role of local government becomes important. Do you have any strategies? What kind of interaction do you have with the local government in your project? So perhaps I can give this question to Binaya-san, if you have any views on this topic.
Thank you, Nagisa-san. Could you kindly, maybe I couldn't hear.
Yeah. So what kind of interaction do you have with the local government in your project?
Okay, thank you. I think way we implement this project is through our partners. And basically, when we engage, we bring the local governments always. We inform them what we are doing. And when it's relevant, we discuss with them and understand what are their real need, as well as we also try, at some instances, it's not just asking them what they are doing, but also giving them the insights, which direction they have to move and what are the gaps. So that basically it's an exercise where we try to come as close as possible in terms of developing common understanding, so that it doesn't look like that we want to do something from unilaterally from our side, and they also have a different idea. So it's I think is a long-term exercise. It will not happen in one project, but eventually, once we develop a trust and make them realize what are the risks and the real benefits of the approach we are promoting, I think then we have a better acceptance. Thank you. Yeah. And
Thank you for your answer. So may I ask Ramesh as well, if you have any views on the interaction with local government, because I believe that you also target the local government for your potential audience of the e-learning courses or capacity development trainings. So if you have any comments, I will be grateful.
Yes, thanks, Nagisa-san. As Binaya-san also said, we need to shift the status quo from current top-down approach to a new model where local actors have greater power and resources to build resilience to climate change in that locally led situation. So that's the main topic of discussions, I think, pretty much, which has to, we are all centralized into having that top-down approach. So to break away from it is not going to be all that easy. And to have a fluent, robust system with the city governments are absolutely necessary. And building policy to have that robustness and fluency, I think, is absolutely critical. And the importance of that is is felt all throughout the region, especially talking at regional levels as well. The importance of that is felt right throughout the regional workshops that we conclude. So that's a point that I want to raise. Thank you
so much. Yeah, thank you for your comments. So yeah, I agree with two of you. I think advancing locally led adaptation, we have to understand the kind of the structure of decision making in the country or in the communities or much smaller scale to reach out to the the people who are most vulnerable or who are suffering from the climate change impact. And it might be different from country to country or region to region. So that's why the locally led adaptation actions should be tailored with the kind of communities or the countries. So I think you provided a lot of useful insights on the future locally led initiative done by our audience or our wider communities. So thank you very much for your insights. Okay, so we have another questions. Let me read it. It's quite difficult for local community to use the tool, so capacity building is important. Is there anything you are working on in terms of capacity building for communities? So I would like to pass either of you. So if you want to say something, you can come in. The capacity building for local communities.
Sure, I can go first this time, but perhaps Binaya-san is better adapted to actually giving you the perfect grassroots level solutions more. Yes. So capacity development for locally led adaptation is also, is going to be very much important. So that development at a local level is, as I said before, has to be enhanced with greater power and resources. So how we're going to actually do that shift is, the question that we have, which is depending on the country, depending on the cities as well, city level, city governments, and provincial levels. At certain countries, it's provincial level. And so how do we actually bring in those policy to actually strengthen the bottom-up approach that is needed for locally led adaptation is very, very crucial. So once again, I stress on that fact. That is probably the main factor in capacity developments for the locally led adaptations as well.
Thank you. Great answer. So Vinesan, do you want to say something?
Yeah, just to add, I think I totally agree what Ramesh said, and it's absolutely true. And I think when it comes to the tool, I think we have to try to understand the limitation of each tool. It's not just like you use the tool and you will get all the answer. So the approach we try to adapt is we want to capitalize on local understanding as much as possible, then introduce the tool to supplement that. So that means that's how we bring closer understanding. What science is telling, what science has a limitation in its prediction. At the same time, what are the local observation and how they can relate to the broader climate change phenomena. So, and it's like basically, of course, the clear answer is that we need more resources and more capacity building at the level to access this tool. But if we go back to the principle of locally led adaptation, the idea is not just we bring the fund, we go to field and develop some projects or program. The basic point is how we develop the decision-making capacity. And it's a long-term process. So adaptation paradigm has to be considered as a part of future development strategy at the local level. So once we have that kind of understanding, then only the local communities can prepare themselves. So in the field, I also often encounter this thing. To tell you the truth, we have even seen the instances where local communities are completely disconnected from the national level priorities or policies. So basic point is how we localize these national level priorities to the local level, and then also capacitate the local level so that they can easily communicate that adaptation needs. That's we call adaptation communication. I would like to reframe it as a bottom-up approach of adaptation communication. So that's the answer. I would say we have to make more effort on that. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. So I really appreciate you highlighting the bottom-up approach, and I also believe that the community also able to aware of their power to change things. So they have to be aware that they can make a difference. So I think that's why the capacity building effort is critical for the communities to initiate the climate actions on the ground. So thank you very much for your great answer. So we have a few minutes left. So my last quick questions is from your perspective, what are the key considerations that the practitioners should keep in their mind when they implement the locally led action? So just a quick answer from two of you will be appreciated. Thank you.
So
Maybe Venus, I can start.
okay, yeah, I
Yes.
think, yeah, that's fine. I think order is not a big issue, I guess. I think basic point is we should forget about the thing like we are there to go help them. So its point is we have to go, we are just go to their observe and see where we can make impact. That's the attitude we should have as a practitioner. We should not go there as a climate adaptation implementer or some kind of expert. That will not work. And we have to come in the terms with our learning. We have to bring that in terms with the local level of dialect. Then only we can connect as a practitioner. Otherwise, it's very, very hard, I guess. So that's my quick answer to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So Ramesh-san, please give your final comments. You are muted.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, it's the bottom-up approach that I think we focus on, and how we could actually strengthen at different levels of that bottom-up approach is where my answer lies in a nutshell. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, panelists, for your valuable contributions to today's discussion. Your insight has been shed light on the complexity and importance of integrating locally led adaptation actions into the ground. So thank you very much. So I really also appreciate Linda-san for her presence. So thank you very much. With that, I'd like to thank our audience for their participation. So let's continue to work together towards the building a more resilient future in the Pacific region. So thank you very much for your participation. So have a wonderful days ahead. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nagisa.